Okay. Now we are seeing the Boltzmann's machine in the previous class. What is the idea of Boltzmann machine? Is basically is to complete a pattern which is not completely present. That's the idea of the Boltzmann's machine. Hopfield network is basically used to remember something. That is associative memory. Okay, and we are seeing what are the similarities about the Boltzmann machine and Hopfield network, and what are the difference between Boltzmann machine and the Hopfield network in the previous classes. Okay, now what we will do is we'll see how actually a Boltzmann machine is going to operate. So as I told you, you need to complete a pattern which is slightly distorted. Okay, distortion is there, but not totally distorted pattern. The beginning of the pattern must be very near to the actual pattern. Okay, so other parts can change. Then what this machine will do, it will take many iterations and it is going to complete the pattern. For example, a picture of, let us say, an aeroplane is given, okay, through some dots. If it is distorted, once you have trained the network with a picture of aeroplane, then if you give a picture of distorted aeroplane, then it is trying to match the dots of the given aeroplane such that at the end of many iterations you are going to complete the pattern. If the pattern is simple, you are going to take less number of iterations. If the pattern is complicated, you are going to take more number of iterations. And also the as the complexity increases, the error will also go high. Okay, let us see how actually this Boltzmann completion network is going to work. Let us consider a Boltzmann machine with an energy function E is equal to minus half of summation I equal to 1 to n, summation j equal to 1 to n, wij, si and sj. And remember, wii is always equal to 0. Okay, just it is same with Hopfield network. Okay, there is no self feedback. W11, W22, all of them will be 0. Now, for the ith neuron with signal si, okay, you are given certain signal to a neuron si, okay, with an activation function xi. Neuron has a signal si, that is incoming signal, and some activation function that is given to neuron is xi. P of si is equal to plus or minus 1 is equal to. So what happens actually, you are given a probability function, probability of si, that signal is equal to either plus 1 or minus 1 is equal to 1 by 1 plus e power minus or plus 2x1 by t, where x1 is a given input, t is the temperature. Okay, the temperature means whatever we have seen in the annealing, that is a high temperature. Signal flip probability. What is the flip probability? That a signal changes its state from minus 1 to plus 1 or plus 1 to minus 1. What is the probability of changing a signal from minus 1 to plus 1? That is equal to 1 by 1 plus e power minus 2x1 by t. Remember? So how do we remember this one? So consider 1 by 1 plus e raised to 2x1 by 2. What state you are going to change? You are going to change the state from minus 1, encode here, minus. So what is the probability of 1 changes to minus 1? That is equal to 1 by 1 plus e power 2x1 by t. Why we are using probability? Because remember, all Boltzmann machines are stochastic, means input signals are probabilistic signals, whereas in the Hopfield network, input signals are governed by deterministic laws. That's the fundamental difference between a Boltzmann network and a Hopfield network. Now, delta EI is a change, energy change that results from flip. That is, either you change your state from minus 1 to plus 1, or you change your state from plus 1 to minus 1. Okay, there is a change in energy. What is the change in energy? That is delta probability of si changing to minus si, okay, is equal to 1 by 1 plus e power 2 si into xi by t. That is how it becomes is probability of 1 to minus 1. How much is the total change? 1 minus of minus 1, that is 2. So that's why you'll get one factor 2 si into xi into t. So this I will write it as this entire term 2 si xi, that is written as delta E of I into T, where delta E of I is equal to E of minus Si, where that is the changed state, that is the destination, minus change of initial state. So energy of the changed state minus energy of the initial state. Why this is important? Because if this delta EI is positive, what does it indicate? E of minus Si is more than E of Si. That is, energy of the new state is more than the energy of the previous state. Then I have to accept this change with certain probability, as we have seen in the previous class. If this value is negative, then you accept this state as itself the original state. So you keep doing this one until you get certain minimum amount of energy change, or difference between successive energy states are very minimal, so that your weight vectors are optimized. That's the basic principle of annealing, what we have seen in the previous class. Okay. Now, we assume that the partially specified input vector S dash has to be completed by network. So, let us say some input vector. Vector means here is basically a pattern. So, I have not specified a pattern completely, so that some part of the pattern is available, other part of the pattern is scattered. So, my aim is to complete the pattern which is actually in the correct format. So, one thing you remember, whichever pattern you will want to complete, that pattern must be known to the network previously. For example, if I want to complete the pattern of, let us say, ship, so network must be initially trained how the ships look like. If you don't train network with a ship, then it will never be able to complete the ship. Okay, so that is the idea. Initially, we'll train all the network with all the patterns. Then what we do, we give a distorted pattern and ask the network to complete. That is the whole idea behind this Boltzmann machine. Are you able to understand? Any doubt you have? Any doubt? Can you distinguish a Hopfield network from a Boltzmann network? Any of you? Yes, yes. What's the fundamental difference actually between those two? Yeah, any of you? What's the difference? Tell me. Huh. A Hopfield network basically is to memorize a system. That is, it is basically a memory system where Lyapunov functions are used, which tells you the minimum state of energy corresponds to the memory in the system. So it is like, just like brain remembers some information, this network is used to remember the information, that is called associative memory. This pattern, that is Boltzmann machine, is used for the completion of the pattern. Okay, that's the fundamental difference between them. However, there are still others, but this is the basic way that they are used. Now, how do we do that? Let us say clamp the signal values of visible units to the corresponding known values. That is, initially whatever network values are available, initially which you think are in the proper place, those networks values are kept at the proper initial values only. Then what we do, randomize the signal of neurons corresponding to the unknown input values. So now, let us say first 5 patterns are very nearly equal to the previous trained pattern, which is resembling some pattern, you are keeping it. Then if there are any new values which you don't know, then pick one of them and signal of the hidden neurons from to +1 and initialize the temperature. This is basically an annealing process that is used with Boltzmann machine. Boltzmann machine is a randomized, it takes the randomized signals from the neurons and also uses gradient descent as well as annealing process. Okay, distinguish clearly from a Hopfield network and this network. Okay, once you do this one, once you choose a neuron, I randomly from this one, let us update and compute its activation. Once you compute this activation and use this Weber dynamic update equation, that is whatever equation I given here, P SI, see here, this equation, P of SI equal to plus or minus 1 equal to this equation, 1 by 1 plus e power minus r plus a 2x1 by t. This equation is used to compute the probability of the signal being plus or minus, so that you are going to compute the signal. Any doubt? Anybody? Any doubt? Now, once you complete this probabilities +1 to -1 or -1 to +1, okay, repeat the above update procedure until all the neurons are polled several times. That is, if there are 10 neurons in a network, all the neurons you have to apply this procedure. Each neurons, let us say input side 5, hidden layer 5, and output layer, let us say 2 neurons. First go to input side neurons and what are the input signals it is receiving, okay, and those signals you take and update the values correspondingly, and then you poll them whether the updation is proper. Then what you do, you go to hidden neurons and complete this process. So what is the probability of the signal changing from +1 to -1 or -1 to +1, you calculate and update this one. Next, what you do, once the weight updation process for a particular temperature is complete, then what you do, you reduce the temperature and repeat the polling cycle. Okay, how long you are going to do this one? How long you are going to reduce the temperature? Yeah, how long you have to reduce the temperature? You should reduce the temperature until a temperature becomes small enough, that is actually specifically saying room temperature. So when the temperature becomes low, it is room temperature, then you are going to stop this network and you completed the annealing process. This is exactly the annealing process what we are done in the previous case, that is applied for the Boltzmann machine. Okay. Are you able to follow this one? Anybody? Any doubt you have? Any doubt? Yeah. All of you, any doubt you have? Yeah, Sahana, Lakshmi, any doubt? Shreyas? Now, as you understood, we are first following annealing procedure to reduce the temperature stage by stage, so that our weight updation is complete and the network is stabilized. This is the first step in Boltzmann machine. Once you do this one, next we'll go for the stochastic learning of the visible states in Boltzmann machine. That is, when you give a pattern of pixels which are scattered, okay, what is the aim? Aim is to arrange those pixels in a specific order so that it resembles a pattern. Okay, suppose that you are given a pattern of an aeroplane in a scattered fashion. At the end of many iterations, your network should arrange those pixels such that it will resemble the aeroplane. That's what is the total aim. So what I had to do, I had to learn this pattern first. First, I had to understand whether this pattern resembles an aeroplane or ship or human being or something like that. Okay, so let's say initially I trained the pattern with 4 different objects. So first network should understand which object this scatter pattern does resemble. Once it understands, let us say this pattern is similar to, let us say, ship, then it tries to match those patterns according to whatever it has learned for the ship. This the network has to do. So that's why it has to perform stochastic learning of visible state. Why there is stochastic is each pixel is associated with the probability. So you definitely do not know what is the total pattern. So it chooses the pixels according to the probabilistic model. Hence the Boltzmann machine is a stochastic learning machine. So what we do in the configuration of visible units is denoted by alpha, and configuration corresponding to the hidden units is defined by beta. So there is a one, whatever is known, that is defined by alpha, Whatever is hidden units, that is defined by beta. Once we are given a set of desired probabilities for all the visible units, so which are directly, you can map those the patterns that are given a set of probability that is given by q of alpha, that is the final pattern. So let us say the changed pattern or distorted pattern resembles the pattern 1 with a probability 70%. It resembles the pattern 2 with a probability 30%, 20%. It resembles the pattern 3 with probability 5%, like that. So you know that what is the probability of the distorted pattern resembling a given pattern. Okay, that is the trained pattern. Okay, this should be known. So what is your aim? So I want my network to learn these probabilities, which has in such a way that actual probabilities that result from random simulations match these probabilities for given training set. Means once you know that is what is the probability of resemblance of these pattern, I will keep arranging my network weight vector such that ultimately whatever the network arranges, the probability P of alpha should be very similar to the probability whichever is given in the initial state. Means whatever aeroplane are trained, the distorted pattern should very nearly resemble the aeroplane. That is my aim. Otherwise, the training purpose will be totally defeated. Okay. So the desired probability Q of alpha are assumed to be derived from training pattern in T. So first decide which pattern is resembling, then train leave the neural network to rearrange the pixels such that it is going to resemble one of the training pattern. But what probabilities those pattern are to be trained is given initially. Okay, so probability of visible configuration alpha is sum of joint probabilities over possible hidden configurations beta. So it's a basically probability theory. P of alpha is given by summation beta for all values of beta e power minus e of alpha beta divided by t by z. T is a temperature, okay, and z is a partition function, okay, and P of alpha beta is a probability, and E alpha beta is the energy of the network in the configuration defined. That is, when the network is in the present state, what is its energy? Next, what you are doing, you are randomizing the network and recalculate the energy. Once you recalculate the energy, if the energy is lesser than the previous one, yes, you are going in a forward direction. So that what happens, you can continue to do the same thing. If it is not in the case, then what you do, you have to penalize this one with certain amount. Okay, this process is continued until the network completely rearranges the given pixel such that it resembles one of the patterns which is trained by us. This is the total idea. Any doubt here? Any doubt? Okay. So my aim is to require to match P of alpha with Q of alpha. This match is adjusted by changing weights in the network using gradient descent algorithm. See here, both of them we used. Initially, we are given the weight update equation that we do by annealing, and now we are going for the gradient descent algorithm, which tells you what rate your weights are getting changed so that it is getting very near to the optimized value, that is going out of optimized value. In error function, this is represented as d of q of alpha comma p of alpha is equal to q of alpha log of q of alpha by p of alpha. Okay, so when p of alpha, that is the pattern which has to be modified, and q of alpha, which is a pattern already known, are equal, means when the finally network succeeds in arranging p of your pixels, p of alpha will become q of alpha. When this will become equal, log of 1 will become 0. Okay, so that this network will have total value 0. So d of q of alpha comma p of alpha is equal to 0 means q of alpha minus p of alpha is 0. Therefore, both the terms are matching. That is the entire aim of the training. Okay. So to find a set of weights such that at any given temperature, actual distribution P of alpha matches the desired distribution Q of alpha as closely as possible. So first take a temperature T, then try to alter the weights such that P of alpha is very similar to Q of alpha, and this D of Q of alpha comma P of alpha will become 0. Next, what you do, reduce the temperature and redo this process. So you keep doing this one and modify the weight structure such that when the temperature is constant at the room temperature, you stop the training. So at that particular point, you have completely modified the weight vectors such that your pattern is completely matched to the actual patterns which was trained. That is the final aim. So I'm not going to give you all the equations. Only remember this one. First equation you remember, the gradient descent algorithm delta Wij is equal to minus eta, minus because it is a gradient descent. You are coming down. So present value will be more than the next value. So if A is more than B, B minus A will be negative. That's why it is minus eta dou D by dou Wij. So this equation, I'll give you the final results only. This equation is finally set as delta is used to modify the weight equation. Delta Wij, you write the final equation, eta by T, T is a temperature at which you want to optimize the weight structure. E of Si, Sj, that is clamped. What is the clamping? I've shown you in the previous section. I'll go to the diagram once again. Just you will be able to visualize the diagram that we do. See here. Let us go to clamping. What we said, when the signal is between -1 to +1, retain Xi equal to Si. That's what he said. When Xi is more than 1, it will become +1. When Xi is less than -1, it will become -1. That is, any signal above +1 to -1 are clipped together, means it is hard limiting. So below -1 to +1, you retain the signal as it is. This is the procedure. So in this one, whatever signal you had obtained by modifying the weight vectors and whatever signal you had initially, so let us say pixels position initially and pixels position after giving these pixel values to the algorithm are used. When these two are saved, that is, you are able to arrange the pixel properly, this network will become 0. Okay, so when these two are equal, then delta Wij is equal to 0. That is, no more modification in the weight vector. When there is no more modification in the weight vector, network weights are said to be converted to desired values. So network weights are optimized at that particular temperature. So now next also you have to do the continuous process so that in any temperature, the network weights are not going to get updated, and hence they will become stable so that network can recognize and reorder any of the pattern which is given. Okay. Are you able to understand? Any doubt? Any of you? Any doubt you have? Any doubt? Chandana? Neha? Are you here? Any doubt? Now, as the last part, we'll look into bidirectional associative memory. You have seen the associative memory. There were neuron one, let us say memory 1 structure, memory 3 structure. In between neurons were not optimized. They did not remember. Then what we did, by using neuron 1 and neuron 3, we trained the neuron 2 also to know whatever neuron 1 and neuron 3 knew actually. Okay, that was our aim. So this formed the basis of associative memory, so that when with repetitive training, the memory was preserved. This was mapped with Lyapunov's energy function. Now Bidirectional associative memory is mapping from A to B and also mapping from B to A. Okay, so that's the reason we say bidirectional. It is a two-field attractor neural network. Remember, this attractor neural networks will not have hidden layers. They have only input layer and output layer, and there will be mapping from input layer to output layer. But here, there will be mapping from input to output and output to, okay, input to output, okay, and also output to input, okay. So now this continuous BAMs will employ additive dynamics, just like the Hopfield network. Okay. Now let us see how these networks will appear. Let us consider LX a one pattern, one layer, that is the input layer, and LY is the output layer. Okay. And these are some weight vectors W1, W2, WN, so on up to this one. There need not have to be same number of neurons on both sides. Input may have 5 neurons and output may have 3 neurons, or they have more than that also. Now look at the connection LX to LY. 1, 2, 3, so on. Let's say 5 neurons are connected. The last neuron of the output will get connected to both all the neurons of the input. That is, LX to LY connection is also available, and LY to LX connection is also available. Such sort of networks are known as bidirectional memories. Okay. Now, what happens is, let us consider input AK, BK. Okay, AK is the input side and BK is the output side. Okay, this is a mapping from input side to output side with the iteration k is equal to 1 to q, where AK belongs to Bn because there are n number of neurons here, and BK belongs to Bm, there are m number of neurons on the output side. Okay, such memories are known as hetero-associative memory. A auto-associative memory is the one wherein mapping of one neuron to the neuron of the same side. Let us say you have 5 neurons, neuron 1 maps to neuron 2 and neuron 1 maps to neuron 5 of the same pattern. Then it will become auto-associative memory. Hetero-associative memory is the one wherein neuron of the one section, that is one pattern, will get mapped to neuron of the another network. So input side is A and output side is B. That's why I taken two layers LX and LY of dimension N and M. Okay. So there is a transmission from LX to LY. Assume that the LX to LY mapping will happen. This A dash, okay, when A is given, it will get modified to A dash into W will form B dash. So one of the input values of the layer LX will get mapped to one of the values in B, which is known as B dash, by using the weight vector W. Okay, so W dash, what is W dash? So we don't know. For example, B1, B2, B3, so on up to Bn you have. So which is your B dash value? So B dash is that value which closely resembles one of these values. For example, if there are 5 neurons, the 5th neuron is closely resembling this value, means this value will get mapped to 5th neuron. If it is first one, then it will map to 5th one. Okay. So that's what we are saying. Assume that A dash is closer to the encoded association AI and to all other encoded associations EHA. It is desired that vector B dash is generated closer to BI. So if they, let us say A1 to A10 are there, whatever I have given, let us say A is very similar to A4. Therefore, we will map first A to A4. Whether and by using the weight vectors, when you multiply, it will get multiplied and produce an output which is very similar to B3. Okay, very nearly similar to B3. Then A4th of this one will map to B3 of this one. That is how these memories will get mapped. Okay, so our optimization technique is to map all the initial weight vectors A1 to AN to all the vectors of the layer B. Okay, so let us say, how do you map back? Let us say there are B dash, one of the input layer, output layer here, that is multiplied with the W transpose, because W in a forward direction and will get mapped to W transpose here, will generate A double dash. A double dash is very similar to A dash. Okay, so that is, you are fed back the output to input. So suppose if it is very similar to A dash, if it is 1, then it will get mapped to 1. If it is similar to A2, then it will get mapped to A2. Okay. So what I'm effectively saying is network from A to B, it is mapped, and also mapping will happen from B to A. And this process will continue. Ultimately, I'll write A dash transpose W will get B dash, and to get A double dash, what I will do, I'll multiply B dash transpose with W transpose with to get A double dash, and this process continues. So A to B, B to A, forward, backward transmission will go on. Ultimately, I'll tell final value to give a network is AF will get AF is equal to AF is mapped by using BF transpose into W transpose. Okay, so either backward transpose or forward transpose will happen in this BAM network by using the simple formula AF forward mapping is equal to BF transpose into W transpose. Okay, so ultimately each one should convert. That is, any one of the A should map to B, and any one of the B should map to A. So this is actually programmed memories of the system. Okay. Now, how do you formalize this model? So formalizing the model, we take the direct equation. Let X and Y denote the neural activations, and A and B denotes the corresponding neural signal values. Let's say A and B are the neural values, and X and Y are the activation functions. Now I'll directly write Y is equal to W into A. So what is the output produced at the output of neuron 1 is equal to weight update into the actual value, that is A, the neuronal signal, into weight, that will get the output of the neuron. So the activations are thresholded in according to the signal functions. What are the activations are produced? B is equal to delta of Yj. Whatever Yj is produced, it is given here, and that is equal to 1 if Yj is more than 0. If Yj is more than 0, then neuron fires and that will become 1. If Yj is less than 0, then neuron will not fire 0. If you are using bipolar, that will produce -1. So if output is 1, neuron is going to fire, and that signal will get transmitted to next signal. That is, transmission from A to B will happen. If output is 0, then neuron is not going to transmit, it is keeping it as it is. If output is, if Yj is in particular 0, then neuron will take the previous state. That is, present state of the neuron will be equal to the previous state, because no change in the previous state. In the reverse direction also, same algorithm will hold good. Whatever is would hold good in the forward state, same thing will hold good in the reverse state. So xi k plus 1 is equal to wji. Remember, ij will get changed to ji into bj in k. That is, you are mapping from B to A. Instead of A to B, you are mapping from B to A. Same activation functions are used. That is, ak plus 1, the activation state of the neuron is once again the function of xik plus 1, and it will follow same thing. If xi is more than 0, then it will become 1. If xi is less than 0, then it will become 0. If xi is equal to 0, then it will become ji. Now, once your forward mapping and backward mapping are complete, then what we do, we encode those associations into the BAM system. So once you encode the association into W is equal to xk into yk transpose, xk into yk transpose, the BAM network is going to function. Okay, so it is using Hebb's learning rule, which we taken in the similar previous sessions, and individual association matrices are used. And then what happens? The mapping will take place from A to B and B to A by using the equations xk and yk is equal to so much. Okay, either it's a unipolar manner 1 to 0 or bipolar manner in 0 to 1. Okay, this is how a BAM network is going to function. It is basically a mapping from A to B and B to A in order to generate a desired activation functions.